Alright, today I'm going to be working on the puzzle map cabinet. It's a pretty straightforward project. It uses pocket hole screws like the other piece of furniture I've been making. And if you haven't seen the rest of the videos, you might at least want to watch the one about building the shelving units for the Montessori. It goes into complete detail. This one, as I say, it's a pretty basic cabinet to build. Take you about a day to do it, and only requires a table saw, pocket hole, jig, electric drill, and some glue. That's about it. So anyhow, let's get going on it, and I'll show you what I do. Okay, walking around, I'll show you what the cabinet is comprised of. This will be the bottom shelf, and it's already been treated with a piece of wood in the front to hide the plywood. These are the two back supports, which you'll see. Again, these are banded with wood. You don't have to band the inside because that will be against the sides. This will be a little toe kick that goes in the bottom. The bottom shelf is 23 inches. This will be the top. This will get banded on all four sides, right? And if you've watched the other video, you know that I do the edges first so that I don't see the end grain when I put the front banding on. And again, I'm not careful at all when I put that banding on. You can see it's hanging over here. You can see it's hanging over there. It just goes a lot quicker if you just glue it on and then take care of the stuff that overhangs later. And I'll show you that. I put it through the router and I make it smooth. So the top, this is the top, and that is 24.5 inches. And the reason is because the two sides are each 3/4 of an inch, so it has to be bigger if it's going to be flush on the top. So these are the two sides. Normally I would have put the banding on the sides, on the front and back at this point, but because I have to mark these, I didn't want to have anything in the way. Now I'm going to be using 1 inch by a 1/2 inch thick runners. And what I do, as you can see, I've marked each one, and it's 1.5 inches. I want 1 inch between so that the puzzle cabinets can slide in. The puzzle cabinets are a 1/2 inch thick, so I want another 1/2 inch so they don't get stuck. All right, so this is 1.5 inches, and when these runners get put on, it'll be like that, and so you'll have 1 inch between each one. And it's important to mark these. I've got them clamped together. It's important to get them exactly straight, because otherwise you could have 1/8 of an inch off on the other side, and it'll turn out to be a pretty bad job. So lock them both together, mark all your marks, and then with a square, drive your line down, and then attach it. Now I'm going to be attaching this with a nail gun, and so I don't have to drill these. I was going to use just regular, this is a 2x6, put it through the planer, took it down to 1 inch wide, but I decided no, there's going to be sliding going on, and I didn't want anything to wear out, so I went with the oak. And so once I've drawn my lines down the inside, this is the outside, and this has already been varnished. The inside isn't varnished. Once I draw the lines down, then I'll attach these, and I will glue and nail them in. Let's see, what else? I think that's about it right now. So once I get going, I'll show you the rest of it, how I'm putting it together. Oh, one other thing. This will be put together with pocket hole screws, just like every other project. The thing is, when you're putting these in, you're not going to be able to get to the top, so you're going to have to leave several of these off, and I'll show you that in order to get the the driver to put the screws in. Then once it's screwed to the top, then you'll put these back on. Likewise, when I'm attaching the two back panels, I'll be drilling between these holes, all right, or between these lines. So I'll show you that again when I'm getting ready for the pocket hole screws. So it's important to where you put these. It's also important where you put them here so that you don't see them. When this is done, you shouldn't be seeing the pocket hole screws anywhere. I mean, obviously you can put them on the back, but then when you look at the back of the cabinet, if you were to look at the back of the cabinet, you'd see a bunch of pocket hole screws, and I don't know, I just don't like the look of that. So I'm going to do them so all the pocket hole screws are pretty much hidden. So let me get going on this, and I will show you how I put the pocket hole screws in, and then how everything gets assembled. When you're drawing these lines, you want to make sure that you're really, really on the line. Use a sharp pencil when you draw it, right? Because if you're off even a 32nd of an inch, it's going to multiply itself. So you've got to make sure that your first of all, your piece of wood is completely square, and that your square is touching exactly where it's supposed to be touching, right? And then with a very sharp pencil, again, make sure you're right on that line. Right. So let me draw the lines, and by the way, there's the strips are going to be on it. So let me finish up drawing these lines. Okay, everything lines up perfectly. This is the back. This whole thing gets stood up like that. So this will be the back. This will be the kick plate. So back, side, the other side, the kick plate. Now, I've laid this out. This is where the pocket hole screws are going to go. They're going to go between the shelves. I got one here, I've got one here, and I've got one down here. This will be hidden because it'll be underneath the kick plate. And then at the top I have 3 of them, and I'm going to put two right here that'll go into the top. So I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because people have a tendency to lift things up from the top, so I want to make sure that it's on there nice and strong. All right. Now the next thing will be, this is the bottom shelf. All right, so it's just cut rough right now because as you see, it's got this edge on it, so that edge adds a little to it. So what I do now that I have everything squared, I'll take this, push it tight against what's going to be the back, and I'll take my pencil. This way there's no measuring, there's no chance of making a mistake. And then that's going to be my outside edge right there. Now this, again, doesn't get banded on the front and the back, because this will be the back. When everything is said and done, the back will be finished off, but not at this point. If I was to put a band on the back, let's see, do I have one? Well, I don't have a, yes, sure. If I was to put this band on the back already, right now, then I wouldn't be able to get that up tight against the back. So I want to get that tight against the back, and then I'll take care of the other spot later. So right now, I know that I have to cut this off in order to have it fit tightly. I'll put it through the saw again, and right there, that'll give me the perfect space. So anyhow, everything's laid out. Where I'm going to drill the pocket holes are laid out. I've got this varnished on one side already, and I'm ready to start putting the back on first. Once the back is on, then I'll run the strips on. The strips will be put on like that. Also, you can see this or not, but this is rounded over. It gives a nice round edge. So I'll be doing that in the router, and then those will get laid on, screwed, or excuse me, nailed on and glued. So let me get going. Alright, so it's time now. I'm going to start putting in the pocket holes, but this can get very confusing. You have a front, a back, a top, a bottom, a left, and a right. And so what I do is get it marked. TLB, top, left, back. And on the side that goes into the back, TL, top, left. That way, you know, you're not going to end up putting it over on the wrong side. Trust me, it gets very confusing. Anyhow, this is going to be so that I don't see the screws from the outside, even though the back doesn't matter. So I'm going to be putting right between where the shelves go, and then right where the kick plate goes, and then these will go to the top. So let me start doing this. If you haven't seen this before, I'll do one so you can get an idea of how a pocket hole jig works. Pocket hole jig. You do it on the inside, not the good side of the wood. And you just put it in and drill. That will secure it to the top, and then I've already marked where I want to go on the edges. Again, I want to do that so that it falls between where the shelves are going to go. I'm going to put two of them there. This goes where the toe kick goes, so it's not seen. And one more at the top. You only have an inch and a half to work with, so you got to make sure that you get it where you planned on getting it. Okay. So they fall between the lines, which is what I want. Next, I'll do the top. The top isn't as critical because you're not going to see it no matter what. What does make a difference though is when you're putting your strips on, because you're not going to be able to get to these holes if you have the strips in place already. Okay, so I got the top drilled, I've got the back drilled. Goes like that. And now, once I get this attached, I'll start running the strips across. So let me finish up in the other ones. Okay, at this point I'm ready to start screwing the back and the side together. I've got my top left back, and I've got my top left back over there, so I know I'm going in the right direction. Now I've put a piece of wood here, right there, so that I get this perfectly plumb, and that'll help when I put the sides on also, or the top I mean. So simply take it and screw it in. If you haven't used pocket holes before, I think you're really going to like them. Things go together so quickly and easily. All right, so again, I had put that between the two shelves, and if not, I wouldn't have been able to screw that thing together. Okay, so that's that. Now I take it over and I will start putting the sliders in. Now I had to start, let me get this. Right. I had to start at the 5th one down. The reason being, if I had put this one on, or this one on, let's say, I wouldn't be able to get this in there. So it's important that you have enough room so you can start your screw. Right. So this is the 5th one down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that gives me plenty of room. Once I get this all assembled, I'll come in here and I'll put the remaining ones on. Now, originally I thought I'd be doing this with a 16 gauge nailer, but actually an 18 gauge works just fine. These are 1.25" nails, and simply take the slats and I'll get some glue. Okay, take the slats, and I like plenty of light so I can get it so I don't have the shadows in my face. Glue the bottom. Use enough glue because this is really the only thing that's holding together. These little 18 gauge brads aren't all that strong. I was just concerned that with the oak they might not go through, but they do. Alright, so I'm going to start 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put it on the top of the line. Alright. And then simply put a nail in. Okay. Adjust the line so it's all the way down. Drive a few more nails in. Right. Time for the next one, and it's the same process all the way. Now, since the spacing is 1.5 inches and your sticks, your little piece of wood are 1 inch, you can put it there, but don't rely on that and not draw your lines, because if one is off, they're all going to be off, and it's just going to get worse and worse as you go down. So you can set up your line, and then if everything looks okay, just nail it in. I can see the line there, so I'm good. Get it perfect. Put that in just to be, there we go. Also, if you notice, I rounded these off. Makes it nice and smooth. Nobody's going to hurt themselves in that. Now, when everything is done on this one, I'm going to go ahead and varnish the inside of this. I didn't varnish it beforehand because if I had varnish in here, or polyurethane, the glue wouldn't have stuck to it. So typically I would do it all before assembly, but in this case I'm not. And I won't bore you with the rest of these, but you can see what I'm doing. Again, make sure you're straight on the line and go for it. And stick it in just to make sure everything's okay. So on and so forth. So I'm going to shut the camera off now, finish these up, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, time to put it all together. Just to make sure that nothing comes apart while I'm screwing it, I've got it clamped top to bottom to hold the top on, side to side to make sure that everything is parallel. And I also have it against a little piece of wood there, make sure that it's, again, so everything's parallel. So looking at it from the inside, this is the bottom shelf. All right, I put that there to make sure that, well, if it wasn't there, you really wouldn't be able to hold it together unless you clammed it from the top. And this just works better. It gives you the perfect dimensions. So you take the bottom shelf, you put it in. All right, and then again, this is why I didn't put these sides here, because I wouldn't be able to get this drill in. Alright, there's one. There's two. Three and four. All right, now that's attached the back to the top. Now attach the sides to the top. And it's really this quick. Pocket holes are a miracle. Okay, the top is attached. And just take my clamps off. Take this is the bottom shelf. Take that out. Now, I also drew lines. See, we're not drew lines, and this is the little toe kick that goes in the bottom. So I just lay that against it, and that tells me exactly where the shelf's going to be. Make sure I put it the right way up. Line it up. Grab a couple clamps. And then again, put that down. Make sure that everything lines up the way it's supposed to line up. There's that one. Screw this side in. You probably can't see, it's pretty dark in here. But I wanted to give you an idea of how quick you can really assemble it. Okay, that's one side. Put this again. Make sure that everything's lined up like it should be. It is. And you have to have clamps because as you're pushing against the sides, they'll move out from you. Okay. Okay, anything left to do? Let's put this in. Now this, I'm going to set back 3/4 of an inch. And that'll match the other shelving units that I did. Alright, so. That's that. This also helps to hold it together. Now there's another little screw in there, but I'll have to turn upside down to get the other side. I don't think I can get that from here. Maybe I can. All right, that's it. That's That's how fast the thing gets assembled. And what I'll do now is take it back. Take it back and finish putting the other parts into it. And we'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. Okay, it's all done. Took about a day to make, and it came out pretty good. So if you are building furniture for a Montessori, check out my other videos. There's one on shelving units, there's one on tables. This is the map puzzle cabinet. There's going to be one, these little things back here, those are the reading material cabinets. There's some more other things right there. So anyhow, if you're building the furniture for a Montessori, check it out. And I hope it helps somebody. Be sure to subscribe. Thanks.